If you are a Lord of the Rings fan, you need to make some Hobbit Door ornaments. Here's how I did it. I found the designs I wanted for just a couple of bucks on Etsy, and then I turned those designs into stencils by using an EZScreenPrint kit. I printed the designs onto a transparency and then placed the EZScreen on top, flipped it around, and then clipped it all into one of the exposure units. I set the stencil to expose in direct sunlight for about 60 seconds and then brought it back inside. I then peeled the stencil away from the transparency and then let it soak in cool water away from sunlight for about 10 minutes. Once it was done soaking, I used a brush to brush away all the unexposed portions of the designs to reveal the stencils. While letting the stencils dry, I made some of my own torch paste for the wood burning. To make your own torch paste, you just need some ammonium chloride, cornstarch, and a little water. I put a tablespoon of the ammonium chloride into about 100 milliliters of water, and then I added a couple tablespoons of cornstarch. I stirred that together and then microwaved the mixture for 30-second intervals, stirring in between until I had a thick paste-like mixture. When printing on wood, I like to use a repositional spray on my stencil so it doesn't slip around while printing. I just laid the stencil onto the wood ornaments that we picked up on Amazon, and then I used a squeegee to push the torch paste that we made in part 1 through the stencil onto the wooden ornament. The stencils are reusable, so you can print multiple ornaments at one time. I let the torch paste dry for a few minutes before using a heat gun to activate it. We had a pretty weak heat gun, so it took a little longer than if you had used an iron or a better heat gun, but it still worked. For coloring the doors, I used unicorn spit wood stain. I like this stuff because you can water it down easily for transparent but vibrant colors, but you could also water down acrylic paint and that would work as well. You just don't want to cover up the cool wood burning texture that you just did. To add the wreath, I squeezed a thick layer of hot glue around the border of the ornament and then placed these twig and vine wreaths that we got on Amazon onto the hot glue. For the doorknobs, we initially used a dot of gold paint, which works fine, but later on we actually found a bag of cheap dollhouse doorknobs that we ended up epoxying on instead. For the finishing touches, we used fake plants and beads that we picked up at a dollar store. We cut them up into the sizes that we wanted and placed them all over using the hot glue. I forgot to video us doing the small ornaments, but we did the same thing as here on the big one. Next, we started printing some signs using the other stencils that we made in part 1. I'm just printing on some off-white and brown cardstock using a black screen printing acrylic. I just lay the stencil down, use a squeegee to swipe the ink, and gently peel back to reveal the design. After we had printed a few of these Middle-earth phrases, we cut them down and used eyeshadow to add some distressing and to give it kind of an aged parchment look. And just like that, we have these adorable Hobbit hole inspired ornaments. What do you guys think?